This conference will now be recorded.
And I'll make sure that you get a copy of this as well, so you
Okay.
can use it for your references. So, yeah, thanks for taking the time out of your day today, Rudy. I really appreciate it. I didn't get too much information from Tom about what brought us here today to this call. But give me a better understanding. When it comes to print output, what do you got as going on as a strategy at this point?
In reference to, let's go back for a second. In reference to, I mean, how do you mean that exactly?
Well, I'm just curious because I mean we do have a number of different solutions that can help you out with um, various different challenges, let's say, or even do audit trails for you at that point. But in your situation, I mean, how are you handling print today in within your organization?
Well, we're using, the only thing I can say, I guess, kind of like an auditing way, I guess you can call it, is similar to paper. Have you heard of paper cut?
Yes.
That's what we're basically utilizing in our.
Uh, okay. Are you using it for tracking and auditing? Or are you using it for secure prints? How is it being
Kind
handled?
of a combination of both. Kind of like we're using like the full kind of license to utilize it as best as possible. To utilize it, be as effective, as it can be.
Okay.
And
Okay. That
Rudy, if you don't mind me stepping in a little bit, Rudy and
Mhm.
I and Greg met a couple of weeks back, and he's covered under a current agreement right now, which is going pretty well. But we're just looking at ways that we can use GT Insight to help kind of maximize what they're doing right now. They do have FM Audit installed as well as
Right.
PaperCut.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
And so, but there's some other things like as far as, so the device side looks like it's taken care of pretty well. And the follow me and the secure release, you know, PaperCut's doing a good job there, but we're looking at other ways to kind of maximize their contract and what they're doing now and how they can, kind of massage users into doing the right thing for the organization. Am I on track, Rudy?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Thank you.
okay. Um, Perfect. So what you see in front of you here, this is our Insight dashboard. What we've got is we got a product that's very similar to PaperCut. This is a little bit of a different architecture. We do focus heavier on the print output and doing some analytics on what's going on with that. And we also have a nice, easy user interface to help you build and control and even standardize the output of what's happening. So in front of you here is a snapshot. Typically, what we do with the software, and I'll get into a little bit more of the technical side in a minute. But typically, what we've got is we've got a software that we can install and deploy out that will silently track what happens when an end user clicks print, and we get a bunch of metrics on that. We can run that system for, let's say, a 30, 60, 90-day period and come up with some interesting metrics of what's going on in the environment. And that's what you're seeing in front of you today is a bit of a snapshot. This is a sample of what you could potentially see in your office. So in this case, we've had this operation for about 53 days. We've tracked 224 users. Over the course of that time, these 224 users have clicked print 67,000 times and have produced 234,000 pages of paper. So it has a bunch of metrics in there on what it will show you. But we can break this down into a couple things like top pages by application, top users by volume, as well as top users by color volume. But here's something that people always find interesting about the way we do things and some of the stuff that we look at. So in this case here, I've got three pie charts: job to job size, pages to job size, and duplex information. If I take a look at the job to job size, you'll notice that this big part of the pie chart here is jobs of 1 to 3 pages. This is happens quite a bit. So when an end user is clicking print, typically they're doing a lot of small convenience jobs. But when you correlate that to the meter output of the device, that 1 to 3 page job is only 30 to 40% of the output. And the real key here is taking a look at things like these large jobs. So as you can see here, as I hover over this, 50 plus page jobs is about 12% of the meter volume. But that only happened from 300 print jobs. If I drill into this, the thing that I can show you here is we can filter in and drill into absolutely everything. And you can see at this point with the 50 plus page jobs, there is a 13% duplex output on those large jobs. So 86% of those large jobs are single-sided. And that's an easy way to create some, to look at this and say, maybe we should reduce that, because at the end of the day, that's 24,000 pages that were output of these jobs that could have been put on both sides of the page. That's an output that you can cut in half, and that's simply by using our software to do that. Now, I can also go down and I can focus in on a couple other things. And as you can see here, we've got things like printing costs, how much it's costing per user on these large jobs. But if I go down here, you'll also notice that 66% of that output went to USB attached printers. Do you have USB attached printers in your offices?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, we do in some small offices, because we have an office that we house some personnel out of, and it's an office that we do not control the Wi-Fi. We do not control the network. We don't have any switches. We don't have anything there. And they, like, every time when you plug up to a port in one of the offices, it really won't give you an IP. So I don't know if they have it blocked. I've tried to get a hold of the IT personnel over there, and it's damn near been like impossible. You know what I mean? So we do have some that are, to answer your question, not to go on and on about it.
Well,
Okay.
this may be a way to see what's happening in one of those outer regions or the nether regions and get a little control, or at least some insight on the way to manage those locations for that one in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'll show you a couple other things, excuse me, that you can actually take a look at, which are pretty neat. So if I just remove that 50 plus page job out of this category, and again, I mean, you can set this up the way and I'll show you a little bit about the architecture in a minute here, but the way you can set this up is you can have this tracking just about everyone, whether they're on your network or not. Whether they're in the office or not. I mean, if you're worried about or concerned about people at home offices, we can help you come up with a solution to track that as well. The other part of this comes into an audit trail, and I'll show you this one here. So we've got this nice little number here, percentage of web and email printing in color. And at this rate is 20%. And what that means is if you're in things like Internet Explorer or Chrome or Safari and your email, what we notice here is that there's a 20% color output. So 20% of the pages that are coming out from those applications are in full color. If I go down by the pages by application, you'll see Internet Explorer is the top 3 in this environment. As well, down below here, there's Outlook. And if I click into Outlook, I can drill down into this and I can see, well, how many people have actually printed off emails? And in this case, over the course of time, it's 173 users. Those 173 users had a 30% color output on their 4,900 emails. So it's quite a bit. That's 8,000 pages. So 30% of those 8,000 pages were printed in color just from Outlook. I mean, that's an easy one to say, wait a second, we should be looking at this and coming up with a way of impacting that. And we can actually estimate what we can do with this. So I'm going to switch screens here and I'm going to go over this what if analysis. Now, in this case here, we've got a random cost per page already set up. This is at about a penny and a half mono and 6 cents color, and that's on average right across the board in all the printers in this environment. And we already know that there's a need to increase duplexing. And we already saw that the duplexing was about 13%, not just on the large jobs, but overall it was only over 13%. So if we could say, listen, what if we What if we put that up to the industry standards? What if we put that up to increase that by 50%? So it's a 20% duplex output. And in this environment, based on the spend, we're taking them from $7,700 down to 76. Instead of it costing them $34 per employee, it's now costing them $33. Just by duplexing 20% or 50% more than what they're currently doing, we shaved off 1%. We're reducing 16,000 sheets of paper. And we can do the same thing for web and email. So you think about that web and email, right? In this case, it was 20%. Most organizations that we go into usually have about a 15% color output on those applications, and that's pre-management side. When we get into it and start managing, we can actually bring those down to about 10%. And that's the average target level when we start looking at it. So in this case, if we just took those specific applications and reduced them in this scenario, we've now taken them from $34 down to 33 users, or $33. We've shaved off 4%, or $324 off of their bill. And of course, you know, the last one, which is this one in the middle, which is our waste reduction. If we took a look at this and we started managing them, what would happen in the long run? What would happen in the long run down the road? Because essentially, when end users realize they're being tracked, they stop doing things. It's like it's what I like to call the state trooper on the interstate, right? You're driving down the interstate, you see a state trooper, you hit the brakes.
They start managing themselves.
So in this case, if we did a conservative 10% reduction in overall usage, what you're looking at here is now a total of a 14% reduction. We've gone from $7,700 to $6,600. We've taken them from $34 down to $27. Overall, on their regular spend, it's about $1,000, and we're eliminating 40,000 sheets of paper at the same time. Like 40,000 is pretty big. I mean, you know, a box of paper is 5,000 sheets of paper. So there's quite a few boxes of paper that you're eliminating from ordering, storing, shredding, recycling, whatever you do with it after that. How we do that is with our Print Audit Infinite user management product, which is what I've just switched over to. So this is very much like your current paper cut system. The difference with this system is that we actually have a little application that resides on the workstation, and that's what tracks all the activity. So not only will this track the activity, but this product itself could essentially, if you ever wanted to, replace the paper cut system because it does do a full secure print, full follow me print system. It allows you to have, you know, badge release, authentication right on the MFPs as well. So it does that as well. But those parameters that I showed you, those control methods, this is where this system really sort of differentiates itself. So if I go into the administration here, and remember those two pieces that I showed you, right? The one was the duplexing, the other one was the email and web browser printing. I can go into this rules system here, and I can set up parameters. So I'll give you a good example. I'm going to show you one right on the screen. So we'll do one around Chrome. In this case, I'm going to add in a condition. If the application name contains Chrome, and the total color page, so I can say in this case here, total color page is greater than 0 pages. I'm going to do a little pop-up and give them an option to cancel the job. So at this point, I've created a message. Now I don't have a color printer near me, so I'm just going to get rid of that. That one condition about the Chrome. But as you can see here, I've got the application name contains Chrome, displays a message. So if I hit print on this screenshot, right? If I just do a print right here from the screenshot and print to my even to my little USB printer here, I'm going to get a pop-up on my desktop, and forgive me, my computer's running at about 95% resources here. But as you can see here, I got this little pop-up that says, why are you doing this? Do you want to continue printing this job, yes or no? And I can either hit, yeah, I do, I absolutely need this, or you can hit, no, I didn't mean to do that, and you cancel the job and repackage it some other way. Now, the whole thing is there's about 88 million combinations of rules. So if you wanted to do something like, hey, I don't want printing to happen on a Sunday, you can do that. If you wanted to have, maybe even certain printers or certain page sizes, whatever you need to, you wanted to increase duplexing on multi-page documents, just hit them on a total page count is greater than whatever threshold you see, and the driver setting is not duplexed. Give them a little pop-up saying, hey, maybe you should print this on both sides of the page.
Oh, okay.
So it gives you that behavioral control. You can do just about anything with this system. Not only does it do that, but if I go into the job accounting here, and I'll just show you what the jobs themselves look like, I'm going to bring up this information here. Every time someone clicks print, we're tracking 35 to 40 bits of information on every single print job. So we collect a lot of data, as you can see here. And in this case, I could see that I've only got myself, but I've got myself set up as a user count. I know which printer I'm looking at. I know the size of the pages, how many pages in color as well as mono, and the cost of units, the total cost, date printed, application, you name it. It's all there. We have a ton of pieces of information on every single print job. From there, we can set up a whole bunch of robust reports that you can send out to anyone in the environment. Do you guys do, let me ask you, Rudy, do you do any type of departmental reporting on usage?
Not that, well, to be honest with you, no, because I guess the reasons why we don't, because we don't restrict anyone on how they can print,
Mm-hmm.
because, we are a very heavy organization that relies on paper,
Okay.
tax auditing purposes. We have to have like paper. So we keep a lot of things. So the main rules that I really have set up, like paper cut for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
is I only allow certain color operators to allow
Okay.
them to print color, but otherwise everybody can literally print. Like anytime an email, like he said, the email, there's a rule set up so anytime they printing an email, try to print in color, it's going to automatically spit it out in black and white.
Very good.
So we try to reduce costs any way possible, but we don't restrict anyone on how much they print.
Understandable. Well, like I
We
said,
probably should. We should, but we don't.
Alternatively, Rudy, have you guys thought about maybe pushing larger print jobs to a lower cost device?
Yeah, actually we did, because we removed all the desktop printers, like all the HP, Office Jets and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And so that saved us a huge amount, because we were wasting money, because you give them an HP printer and they were just, everything they would print to it, because they were lazy and didn't want to get up and walk to the printer
Yeah, we're
10 feet
creatures
away.
of convenience.
Exactly. So, but yeah. So, I mean, I really don't run any reports, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Do you think managers would like to see who was printing how much and when?
Absolutely.
All right,
I
Paul,
think
can we show that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can set this up. So there's a couple of things that we can do with this system. Are you managing everyone in Active Directory?
Yes, I am.
So we can do a sync with your AD structure. And what that means is if you've got people in things like organizational units, or if you're using security groups, or even a combination of both, we can sync up with AD and structure the reporting structure based on that AD structure. And what that allows us to do is not just create maybe one or two reports, but you can actually create, as you can see here, I've got a whole bunch of reports already pre-canned. These are all different reports, and some of them are what we call composite reports, which are a semblance of reports that are going out to different people, different department owners, based on the reporting structure that they've got set up. You can see here, if I go into the create simple reports, I've got a ton of different reports that I can draw from. So if you're doing a user volume report, you can say, hey, user volumes, and you could say it is, whatever location. So in this case, it's my North Reading location, and it is the sales team that I want to take a look at. And from here, I can grab this, and I can grab this one particular user volume report, generate it, and send it out to someone. Or if I wanted to say with a composite report, I could create a maybe even a quarterly report for someone. In fact, here I've actually got one set up at this point, and I'll just bring it up here. I got a quarterly business report which has user volumes. It shows how many documents are going through the secure server. It shows how many times people are adhering to the rules, as well as the top applications that this specific set of users are using. I can add in more reports if I wanted to. Maybe something like a total printing breakdown, so I want to see what their job sizes are, so on and so forth. If I have the embedded app installed, I can say, show me by job type, whatever it is. If I hit build on this, it's going to give me a whole composite report of different areas that I can take a look at. And this is beyond just the BI tool that I originally showed you, because that BI tool is a drillable detail where we can actually upload data once a month so that you've got access to it as a whole to say, how am I doing? Is it going up? Is it going down?
Oh, okay.
But this one here, these reports here, will actually show you, for departmental wise, we'll give them that department report that a lot of people are wanting to understand. So bear with me here as this finishes. And as you can see at this point, I've got all these users. Now I've got a ton of users in this one, so this is going to be quite a bit. Let me just see. Actually, I'll go into the last. Here's my total printing breakdown. As you can see in this case here, 1 to 3 page jobs represent 77% of the output. If I let me just hit a couple back ones here. Here's the top applications: Adobe, I got Word, I got Outlook, I've got Internet Explorer, and here's the rules that I've set up. In this case here, this customer had Chromebooks. They were going through Google Cloud Print to do some Chromebook printing, but you can see here I've got rules, how many times those rules were canceled, how many pages it eliminated, and how much it saved us at the end of the day. The real neat thing about this whole system is even this report that I've just generated on demand, I can either download it, print it, or send it out via email to someone else who needs it. So if someone ever says, hey, I didn't get that departmental report, and you said, yeah, you did, but you deleted it, you can easily go back into this system, into the web interface, schedule that or rerun that report and email it out to them directly.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Right now, I've got a bunch of, I'll tell you, I got a bunch of school districts who are using this, and the biggest one that I've got so far has got it's 800 separate composite reports out to each principal about what the school is doing when it comes to usage. So it allows them to be able to keep tabs on all of that.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you at this point. I don't want to take too much of your time up here. But what do you think? I mean, is that something you could see trying out?
Absolutely. I like it. I really, really like it.
Cool. That's good. So what I could do, I think I don't know if Tom is. No, Tom is self-muted. Sorry, Tom just muted himself. What we can do is, so I can send you over some. I can send you over some technical and security documentation that you can review on your own, and then if you're willing to, we could probably set up some next steps and let you take a test drive of the software.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah, and really the whole idea is to let you run it for say 30 days, see what information you can gather from it and glean from it, and see how that can help you maximize, Rudy, what you guys are doing right now. And if it makes sense, love to work on this on a perpetual basis.
Right, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, just send over the info and we'll go from there. Whatever you need to
Okay.
do on your end, set up.
perfect.
Excellent. Okay, and I'll send you a copy of this recording once it generates from the GoToMeeting system.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Paul, were there any other, or excuse me, Rudy, were there any other questions that you had?
No, not at all. I'm just interested in trying it out.
Sure. And I think the nice thing is once people start governing themselves, I mean, the cheapest print out there is the one that you don't create. And the second cheapest is the one that you print in black and white instead of color. So
Absolutely.
the duplex and the reporting, I think, would be great tools for you.
Yes, for sure.
So great. Thank you very much for joining us today, Rudy.
All right.
No
And
problem. Thank you for the demo. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Bye now.
we'll circle back and I'll give you a holler next week after you have a chance to look at the emails.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Rudy. Have a great rest of your
Thank you.
Thursday.
Appreciate you too as well.
You bet. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.